Hey everyone. So lately, in the past few days, I've been targeting using 3 Lydian over 1 minor. In a previous video, I had talked about the idea of black and white, using the white notes being the inside notes. So I used the example of C major because it's nice and clean. You can get that nice visual reference on the keyboard of just the white keys. And then the black keys being the outside notes, and using those outside notes to color up the inside notes. And I talked about this idea of like the yin and yang of that relationship. And this is something, again, that most jazz musicians use more so than any other musician type, I guess, traditionally or generally speaking. It really started to happen in jazz in the 60s, with people like Herbie Hancock and John Coltrane, and then it became more and more emphasized as the years went on, and then jazz musicians were really taking it out in the 70s and 80s, and then you get people like, if you're familiar with this guitar or saxophonist named Michael Brecker, just to use him as an example, one of the greatest tenor saxophonists ever, just a brilliant musician. He did a lot of this kind of stuff. So while I do play jazz, I don't really use, or I like to use, excuse me, sort of concepts that are in jazz and infuse it with my own music in a way that feels a little more personal. I kind of harp on that a lot. Mainly, I guess, because it is important to me, and also doesn't seem to be talked about much, particularly in the online world. There just seems to be more of an emphasis on imitating what others have already done. Either specifically what they've done, they try their best to sound like someone else, or they try to plug themselves into an existing form or style or genre or idiom, and try to play like players within that zone. And of course, as we know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I do question the validity of copying someone else specifically. While I think that's a good thing to do in the early going of your development, I don't think it's, because ultimately we can't really be someone else, right? I mean, you could spend your whole life trying to sound like Jimi Hendrix, and you're never going to sound like Jimi Hendrix because you're not Jimi Hendrix. So to me, it seems like a lot more fun and interesting, and it's certainly more creative to come up with your own way of playing music. And as much as you can, to sound like you. How exciting is that? That only you can sound like you. Just like Jimmy is the only one in the world that can sound like Jimmy. So to me, like, the opportunity is there, so why not go after it? It does take work, of course, it takes a lot of effort. I don't even really think of it as work, though. I mean, we're exploring music here, how much work is that really? It takes focus and energy and attention and effort, that's for sure. Anyways, so that was a lot to talk about there to lead up to this, but I think it's all good things to keep in mind. Anyways, okay, so 3 Lydian over 1 minor. So in the looper, I have this G minor loop, very simple loop. And so 3 Lydian against G minor would be B Lydian. So when you do that, when you take a specific tonality that's outside of the inside tonality, then you get a certain flavor, it's a certain kind of rub that you get. And B Lydian, let's see, against G minor, you would get 1. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I haven't actually thought about this. you actually get the flat 7 and the flat third, or the flat third and the flat 7, which are what are considered the guide tones. So that's kind of interesting. But all the other notes, check it out. I mean, that's 3 against this. Here's G minor. Pretty raunchy, right? Here's flat 5, flat 6. Here's the flat 7, so that's in. Major 7, flat 2, flat 3, so that's in, right? Back to the third. Yeah, so it's just kind of weaving in and out of that B Lydian sound. And when I'm doing this kind of thing as a player, where I'm just just freely playing and not really working on playing out necessarily, I don't think like this. Just like if I'm playing over a chord, well, if I'm just playing in general, I'm not really thinking about like, what functions I'm playing or anything like that. I'm just trying to follow my ear. But the practicing of this, like getting this into your ear, it becomes part of how you hear, right? Eventually. And your hands and fingers will learn certain moves and stuff, I guess. But really, if we're trying to do it as an improviser, then we would want to kind of steer away from that. But yeah, it's not like when I'm doing this, when I'm just playing, I'm not up there on stage thinking, okay, B Lydian over G minor, that's 3 against 1 minor, like nothing like that. So, again, the idea or the reason for doing that kind of thing is it creates tension, and then when you go back to the inside notes, it releases that tension. And in music, there are many, many ways to create tension and release. This is just one. This is a tonal way to create tension and release, which traditionally it would be like, again, I've talked about this before, like, well, actually, let me come at it from a slightly different angle. If 1 is resolved, then 4, the 4 chord creates a little bit of tension, the 5 chord creates the most amount of tension, and then you release it back to 1. And even within that, you can create different degrees of tension and release. Like, I don't know, like your 1 chord, well, I'm not going to go through the whole series here, but you get the point, right? Like, if this is your 1, this is your 4, and this is your 5, right? We've all heard that many times. No, let me do this. Actually, let me do it, sorry. 1 major, 4 major, and then 5 dominant. We've heard that a lot, right? So by making the 5 chord dominant rather than just major, that creates a little more extra tension, which really has to be resolved. So it's kind of like that. And then you can make the 5 chord sharp 9 go into 1 major 7, and it just gets richer and more flavorsome, I suppose, in a way. And so that's what this is all about. And it adds just nice, so that you're not just inside, you know. So that's all G Dorian, right? I mean, that can get kind of boring. You know, I mean, it depends on what you're doing, right? Like Miles Davis's solo on his tune, So What? He's pretty much playing all inside notes. There's like a couple notes in there where it's not in Dorian, but and it sounds fantastic, you know. But generally speaking, you know, I mean, the tension and release would get created in like maybe the rhythm section in that instance, or the space that Miles left. You know, sometimes the amount of space he left would create tension when and then was released when he came back in with an idea. But for me, like over one chord, it's nice to throwing in those little colors there. Sorry. See what? So that's like a little bit back in. See what it sounds like staying out a little longer. It's kind of, to me, it's kind of interesting, probably because my ear has become more and more acclimated to doing this. It's really interesting to kind of just stay out there, create that tension for a while. You know, I don't think I've ever gone 8 bars with just outside notes, but the most I think I like, for now anyways, it could change, is like 4 bars. Generally speaking, though, I'll just do it for like a little bit within a measure, or maybe go 2 measures of playing out and then back in. So 4 measures of just out is kind of, for now anyways, that's kind of where I am with it in terms of how much I like to have it go out. There's a saxophonist named Dave Lehman. Sorry about that. He'll take it out for a long time. He'll take it out for quite a while. And, you know, it's art, so do whatever you want, whatever you think sounds good, whatever you like. Anyways, just thought I'd share that with you guys. Yeah, I'll leave it there. All right, thanks.